Hello, you're watching World Talks. My name is Sascha Fahrbach. Russia's latest overnight missile and drone strikes on Kyiv, Odessa, and other Ukrainian cities have killed and injured civilians, underscoring the continued intensity of the war on the ground. At the same time, Europe is accelerating long-term defense commitments to Ukraine, even as political signals from Washington point toward a reduced U.S. role in the conflict. Denys Kolesnyk, president of the MENA Research Center Society, joins us now for more.
Hello.
So let's begin also with the latest. These strikes by Russia across Ukraine, what do they tell us of still the capacity, and how does this now change perhaps even more what Ukraine needs?
No, it's nothing new, to be honest, because since the past years we were observing the Russians ramping up their defense capabilities and the production capabilities as well of their ballistic missiles, of even tanks and other military equipment. So the fact that Russia is able to continue its strikes is nothing new and nothing unexpected, unfortunately. However, on the other side, it means that Ukraine needs more anti-air defense capabilities, because we know that Ukraine's stocks have been depleted recently, and they need the new missiles to be able to use the Patriot systems and other equipment they have, and they were delivered by the Western allies.
Mm-hmm. And speaking about those deliveries, I mean, also with the Ukraine Defense Contact Group, that wrapped up on Wednesday. That was co-hosted by Germany and also the UK. But the German Chancellor as well and the German side have also promised they would provide more Patriot missiles. How quickly can that happen, and how significant is that? And generally also Germany's role in being a partner for Ukraine.
Unfortunately, I'm not an expert on logistics, so I will not be able to tell you the exact time this kind of deliveries will be able to take place. But on the other side, that meeting was quite important because the announcement of this aid is quite necessary for Ukraine, as we see on the TV right now. But another thing which is interesting is that with the US gradual removal from the Ramstein group, the so-called Ramstein group, Germany and the United Kingdom have stepped up as major countries supporting Ukraine's capabilities, and it's something that is very important for Europe, I think.
So also, I want to get your sense. I mean, we just spoke actually very recently to Jacek Siewiara, who is the former head of the Polish National Security Bureau, and he gave us an interesting quote saying that Ukraine is very much a pillar of European security. With all that's going on right now, do you sense now that there's more of, let's say, an integration, a closer tie-in with Ukraine, with the rest of Europe and NATO without the U.S.?
It would be, I guess, interesting to think this way, because Ukraine has real combat capabilities and experience that the NATO allies mostly don't have. Ukraine has one of the most important armies right now on the continent, but at the same time, Ukraine's economy is crippled. Therefore, Ukraine cannot maintain its military capabilities without the Western financial support, which means both partners need each other.
Mm-hmm. Both partners in each other, but also different voices. I just want to also get your opinion. I mean, we had that visit by President Zelensky just yesterday and Wednesday in Rome with Giorgia Meloni, also praising President Zelensky. What kind of message does that send? I mean, is this also, Italy's role in this, but generally, what does that tell us?
Giorgia Meloni was quite close to Donald Trump, and we know it, but recently there were some quarrels, especially with the fact that she refused to support U.S. strikes and U.S.-Israel on one side and Iran on the other side military conflict. And there was the critiques about the Pope which means Meloni couldn't just pass by, which means, unfortunately, for Italy and I guess for the United States, maybe even more, is that Italy will be maybe realign itself more with the European take on Ukraine and the European approach and European policies, and maybe distancing herself from Trump at this point. As for Italian-Ukrainian relations, I mean, we can expect more support from Italy, but at the same time, given the economic situation, the scope of this support could be quite limited.
Mm-hmm. But then also looking at further, let's say, that journey for Ukraine security-wise, I mean, NATO membership right now, that's not necessarily on the table. But how do you see that future right now, given how Europeans, we have a lot of bilaterals, more visits? Is Ukraine shifting more into a partnership role at this point, or is that too soon to say that?
I mean, the discussions about Ukraine's NATO membership were on since maybe 2000s, early 2000s. And every time Ukraine was said that it is not enough, it didn't do enough of homework and some homework needed. And, I remember even my experience. I worked in 2011, 2012 with the NATO liaison office in Kyiv. And I remember all those discussions about Ukraine's moving towards NATO, but with the NATO doors, being open, but not really. And I guess we still continue with this approach. NATO is politically not ready to accept Ukraine because Ukraine is a country that is in war with Russia, and part of its territory is occupied and the hostilities are ongoing. Therefore, if the missiles hit Ukraine, if Ukraine is a NATO member, so the NATO alliance would have to come up with help to Ukraine and even potentially get involved into the war. So it is off the table. What kind of other partnerships could be foreseen in the future? I guess maybe a NATO-Ukraine stronger cooperation, but already Ukraine-NATO cooperated, I guess, at 100% level for a non-NATO member state. So maybe it would be something more into the European Union, on the European Union level, but at the same time, it's quite difficult, for our Western leadership to get more serious about Ukraine. I mean, in the framework of some kind of formal alliance, because nobody wants to get involved into the war.
I mean, you mentioned the European Union, and at the same time, there's that critical 90 billion euro loan that's been on hold. We have a change of government in Hungary at the moment. How critical is that money? Let's say not how quickly it can be dispersed, but tell us a bit more on what that buys Ukraine.
Well, I guess those money would buy Ukraine the budgetary support that that country needs, and it is very necessary for the Ukrainians to receive this money because, as you know, the country at war relies on the foreign funding, unfortunately. And when, on the one hand, in the West, we like to praise the Ukrainian army, saying, oh, how competent they are and how strong they are, but at the same time, if there is no money coming into Ukraine, so there will be less possibility for the Ukrainians to allocate money to the defense sphere. So somehow our money from the West coming to Ukraine, helping to support pensions and governmental programs, while Ukrainian generated money go mostly, or I guess the big part, go to the supporting of the defense sector. Mm-hmm. So it is quite important. And I guess with Hungary's change of government, we will see Hungary deblocking this loan for Ukraine.
Mm-hmm. Then also just a really quick one in terms of we're hearing more about these victims from these overnight strikes. Many civilians, I think around 16 casualties at this point. Does this attack tell us anything? Is this a different kind of pattern that Russia is employing? Is it more of the same? Tell us a bit more what you know.
It's more of the same. I mean, to me, it's nothing new and nothing unexpected. So I guess they continue the strikes. The civilian population suffers, and that's what we have been observing since the beginning of the war. So, I mean, 4 years into the war, and the same things happening. So I guess we should not be surprised by this, unfortunately.
Right, but as you said there, perhaps deeper integration with Ukraine and the European partners that may be up ahead. Look, thanks so much for all those interesting insights. That was our guest here, Denys Kolesnyk, president of the MENA Research Center. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you for watching World Talks, but stay right here on TVP World for more. Goodbye.